Operation Barclay is an upcoming game by Salt and Pepper Games. I enjoyed some of the games in the past. They asked me if they wanted to take a look at the prototype of this one, so I said yes. So I'm giving a preview here, but only in the sense that it's a review of a game that is not out there yet. I think they will have a Kickstarter at some point, but I don't take any money when they do the previews. I'm just happy for the privilege of taking another look, and I was happy to accept again because I enjoyed their games in the past. I found that they had an ability of turning complex historical topics into very playable games, and I remember both Resist and The Hunt being very, very cool in that sense. Also, this one is about espionage in World War II, very fascinating topic to me. And it is, again, about the two different, espionage operations. The Allies are trying to conceal where their attacks against the Axis in the Mediterranean will come from, and the Axis are trying to figure out where they will come from. As you set up the game, the game is only for 2 players strictly. One the Axis Secret Service and the other one the Allies Secret Services. To set up the game, the ally player will place these tokens on the board. These tokens may represent either no, nothing, crosses, or check marks. Yay, check marks. One of these tracks here has 4 checkmark tokens, and that is the main attack, the area of the main attack. They also have a secondary attack with 3 checkmark tokens, and the other paths only have 2. The point, the objective for the German player is to figure out what the main attack and the second attack are, where they're going to happen. So which are the tracks, basically with 4 and 3 tokens. The German player wins by showing all the tokens that they have flipped face up, or by demonstrating logically and deterministically that this and that have to be the right ones. Even if not all tokens are possible, they show that they have excluded of other alternatives. The ally player wins by surviving for 6 turns while also concealing the plans. And I have to show you, this is one of my favorite parts of the game, the turn track that is represented by those pages of calendars from February to July 1943. And the turn token are these wooden tokens. So every time that a turn goes by, it looks like somebody just crossed out a month. I love that. Now, I told you that that's my favorite part of the game. There's also another part that I really like, which is the art. The art is absolutely phenomenal. Now, how about gameplay? This is a card-driven game, so we'll play cards, and basically we'll play 5 cards per round. There will be a couple of other steps, and then we'll compare the hands that we play, the 5 cards that we play, and we'll compare them like poker hands. And the player with depending on what happens there, players will get access to these tokens. These tokens are linked by symbols to the various tracks on the board. So this one is linked to that track, and this symbol here to that one, and so on and so forth. The German player will want to acquire these tokens because if they do, they get to look and flip face up a token from the corresponding tracks. And so they may get these 2 and or these 3 and or this one. If the ally player manages to win these tokens, they don't need to look at them, they already know it. What they do is they're still trying to win them, to deny them to the German player. So they simply deny them and nothing happens. As I said, you're gonna play 5 cards, but it works this way. First, you play 3 cards and you resolve all necessary effects, and you play them face up. Then, both players will bid on who they think will win the hand. And so that's why I say the German player has these 2 tokens and say, I think I'm gonna win this round. And the ally player has similar tokens, and the player says, I'm not doing so well, I think the German player will win this round. Yeah, you can predict yourself or the opponent. And so after you play 3 cards, you place your bids. Players play 2 more cards, but this time face down. and then you reveal the 2 face-down cards, and you compare the five card hands, and it works this way. The player who wins the hand will take these 2 cards. Here, the player who predicted better. So, say if the German player predicts who the winner and the other player doesn't, then they get access to all of these. That's pretty good. Also, there are some symbols and represent naval and air reconnaissance, and the player who has either the most in either category will get this token. Either category means, suppose that I have 1 recon for air and 2 for naval, and you have 2 for naval and 3 for air, then we just look at the 2, which is my highest, and the 3 that is your highest, and you win. As for the cards themselves that we're going to play, they come from 3 decks that are available at the beginning of the game, but there will be a 4th deck the players will build. There are some game effects that will allow you to add cards to the double crossing, counter espionage, double agent deck, I think it's called, one of those. And so you simply place cards and you'll make that deck, and there will be other effects that will allow you to look at the cards in the double agent deck and or draw them from there. You have a common deck that both players can draw from, and then each player has a dedicated deck of cards just for them. Only the Allies and only the German can draw from these respectively, and these cards are just a little nicer. They have some nicer and more powerful effects. As for the generic ones, as you can see, they all have different numbers here. Some, when you're comparing poker hands, you can choose which number you want to use. They have a suit, which may be important for certain combinations, and they may or may not have an effect. If they have an effect, well, you simply do what it says. And again, and some effects, of course, are available only if you play to the tableau as one of the first 3 cards that are those that are face up. And other effects actually may trigger if you play the card face down and then you reveal it during the reveal phase. And this would be an example of what you add to the double cross deck. That's the term I couldn't think of. The art is very nice, clearly reminiscent of other games by Salt and Pepper, and I really like those games. And that's the general idea for this part. And just to give you a sense of some of those other really neat or more powerful unique cards from the unique decks. So these are the symbols that I mentioned. So as you make your hand of cards, you may just place them like so after the effective results, so that at a glance you see how many naval and air recon you have. Some cards are multicolor, so any effect that targets a certain color would work with them. Some cards will destroy all of the icons of a certain kind of the opponent. Just a lot of different effects. So this is the general idea. Alternate playing 3 cards and resolving all of the effects that may be triggered that way. Bid on who will win the hand, play 2 more cards, resolve, assign these tokens. The German player will use them to look at things. Oh, look at that, boom. And the allied player will simply remove tokens. Continue like this until either you reach the end of the game, the location of the primary and secondary attacks are still concealed, and so the allied player wins the game, or the Germans figure it all out, and in which case they win the game. This game, as I said, has great art and a really fun way to keep track of which turn it is. Gameplay, unfortunately, felt a little disappointing. And, you know, this is not the final product. It may look different. They may still change and adjust some of the rules. The problem that I have is with the core engine. I don't know that they're going to change that dramatically, because then you're going to have a completely different game. And the core engine just was not particularly exciting. Couple of problems here. Other games by Salt and Pepper, they take known mechanics, they give them a very thematic flow and feel, and they make them innovative. And yeah, I thought, oh cool, they're gonna do the same thing with poker. It wasn't that way. Still felt like playing poker with the cards that had spy base art and with a lot of extra steps. But ultimately, the gambling, the randomness especially, was just the main element. My friend and I were just trying to get certain combos, and that was pretty much it. And oh yeah, then you can do, there is that effect, so I can place a card there, then look at that other card, then move cards around and put in my discard pile, knowing I can get it later. But the lack of the draw constantly overwhelms any plan, and that's just annoying and frustrating. Then if I'm just playing a heavily luck-based game, I can play Zombie Dice, still a masterpiece to me of a push of luck, super simple luck-based game. But if I'm setting up this game and going through all these steps, and then many times I'm one card away from having something good, but in truth, I have absolutely nothing, and I lose because I'm one card away, and my opponent did get it. And then we exchange ideas and notes, and my opponent's like, yeah, I got lucky. Without that card, I would have lost the round. With that card, I had it. And so all of that stuff kind of like is deflated when you realize that drawing a single card is just as important as making all these complicated plans. So, too much luck. In my opinion, too many steps for what remains at its core, poker with all of these other elements. And the game doesn't feel thematic at all to me, completely abstract. And I thought some of the espionage, the double crossing, the misleading, okay, I'm gonna lose this round because it's okay for my opponent to take those tokens. I don't care. I wouldn't want my opponent to get that token because that is the primary plan. It's not relevant, really. If you win most of the time and you bet on yourself that you win and you're correct, you're going to either deny so many tokens to the opponent or win so many tokens if you're the German player that you're probably going to win. And I was doing that at the beginning, and then I realized that felt irrelevant. And my opponent also said, "No, I never look at those tokens. I don't care. I'm just trying to win and bet on myself." And so there never was any of the misleading, the mind game that I expected there would be in a game about espionage. And there was, for example, an element in a previous game by the same publisher, The Hunt. So it feels abstract, it feels random, and it feels way too complicated for what it has to offer. And this, unfortunately, is my very unenthusiastic assessment of Operation Barclay.